Greetings. Welcome to the Black Heritage Trail application overview. On behalf of the New Jersey Historical Commission and all of our partners, we look forward and we are excited to share this information with you. New Jersey Black Heritage Trail application. The New Jersey Historical Commission is a state agency dedicated to the advancement of public knowledge and preservation of New Jersey history. Established by law in 1967, its work is founded on the fundamental belief that an understanding of our shared heritage is essential to sustaining a cohesive and robust democracy. The New Jersey Historical Commission receives its funding primarily by legislative appropriation. It fulfills its mission through various initiatives, as well as an active grant program. The goal of the grant program is to engage diverse audiences and practitioners in the active exploration, enjoyment, interpretation, understanding, and preservation of New Jersey history. The African American Program and the Black Heritage Trail. Today's presenters will be Noelle Lorraine Williams, Director of the African American History Program, and Gregory O'Day, Assistant Project Manager of the Black Heritage Trail. Legislation signed by Governor Murphy on September 7, 2022, calls for the New Jersey Historical Commission to establish a Black Heritage Trail to promote awareness and appreciation of Black history, heritage, and culture that will highlight Black heritage sites through historical markers and a trail-like path that connects the stories of Black life and resiliency. The New Jersey Historical Commission will seek to encompass as many New Jersey Black heritage sites as practical. In identifying specific sites to be included in the New Jersey Black Heritage Trail, special consideration will be given to Black heritage sites that are in close geographic proximity to other Black heritage sites or thematically linked by surrounding arts, culture, historical, entertainment, or other tourism destinations, or exhibits of interest to tourists interested in Black heritage sites. The New Jersey Black Heritage Trail shall be inclusive of all eras, as well as be geographically representative of the entire state. Any member of the public or private institution, or the New Jersey Historical Commission itself may make nominations to the Black Heritage Trail. The commission held 3 community input meetings in the spring of 2023. The advisory committee will be composed of representatives from the New Jersey Black Cultural and Heritage Initiative Foundation and members with expertise in history, tourism, and preservation, including but not limited to university educators and New Jersey Historical Commission staff and community scholars.
All right, thank you again for joining us this afternoon. So, to submit a nomination for the Black Heritage Trail, we have put together an application form that is online for applicants to submit their nominations. So, we have the nominator's information that is provided in that nomination form, the historical narrative, and the location of the nominated marker site. And the application link and information can be found on the New Jersey Historical Commission website at www.nj.gov/state/historical. On the application form, while filling in the application, you can work on it and come back to it at any time, provided it's within the time frame of the application. So which means you can work and save and come back to it and then complete the application. The application can only be completed and submitted once all the needed and the required fields are filled, which means if the application is not filled and completed, the form will not be submitted. So it has to be submitted when it's completed. So the first section of the form, we've provided the downloadable copy of our guidelines to guide you with more information as to the needed requirements for the application. And we also provided a downloadable copy of the online application form that can help you to hand fill the application if you so wish to, and then transfer that information to the online application just to avoid mistakes and other technical errors. So on this section A, we will require the nominator's information, which includes the contact name, the address, the state code, the zip code, and also the county, the email and the phone number, including the nominator's phone number that can be reached. If the nominator is putting that application on behalf of an organization, we will need the name of the organization and also the address of the organization, including the city where the organization is located, the main phone number, and the general email of that organization. And we also would require some information regarding whether the site in question already has an existing marker at the site. If there is an existing marker, we will need that information here. And also you would have to describe if there is any plaques on the site. Would also require information if the site is listed on the New Jersey National Historic Register. If yes, you provide that with the date that historic place or historic site is listed. You provide the dates that were listed on the register. And also will require if the site is also listed in other register other than the National History Register, will require that information and the name of the register included and the date. And you also provide a historical narrative, the proposed text marker, and on the title of the marker. And the proposed text marker would have to be up to 90 words that provide a concise summary of the marker subject, specifying the historic significance, why the subject will be meaningful and educational for the public, as well as how and why the subject had a significant impact on its time. A narrative description of up to 10 pages of the person, place, or event. So on the guidelines on page 10 and 11 of the guidelines, the requirement for that description is provided. So you might want to revisit the guidelines on page 10 and 11 for more details. A biography is required. So you upload the files of the narrative and the bibliography on this section. So on this section, we provided a downloadable resource for providing evidence using the primary and secondary sources. And the document that is provided in this section is a National Underground Railroad Network for Freedom. So that document is a downloadable document that can help you with the required primary source document that can be used. So you can download it here as a guide. And we have also provided a downloadable evidence or a downloadable source that can help you. Okay, so this is the first page of the Underground Railroad document we provided that provides how the primary source documents can be documented. So we have it here, so it can be downloaded on the field where it's uploaded. So on the section C, we have the location of nominated marker site. In that location, we require the address and the town, the city, the postal code, the county, and the GPS coordinates of the marker location site that will be nominated. So you would have to attach a map that shows the specific area of the proposed marker location. And in this document, we've provided a step-by-step guide on how to plot a map showing where the proposed nomination marker sites will be located. So on this document, I'm just going to go briefly over it to give you. So on this document, we've provided a step-by-step guide on how to obtain a marker location on a map and also obtaining a GPS coordinate using the Google map. So on your computer, you log on to www.google.com/maps. It takes you directly to this window you see here. So on this window, you come right here on the search bar and type in the address of the proposed marker location. And once you type that in, you click on search, and then it takes you straight to where the location is. And then you see a pin around that location. And on that pin, you take your mouse, you right click on the proposed location and copy the GPS coordinate, which is right here as you see on your screen. And once that is copied, you can provide that information on your application form because there's a section that requires GPS coordinates. So to save the document, you click on the drop-down menu on top right corner of the map right here. And then you click on print. Once you click on print, on this drop-down menu, you have this dialog box pops up on your screen, and then you save it as PDF. And then you save the file name, you type the file name to your desired file, whatever title you want to give it, you give it here, and then you click on save. Then that saves directly into your document. And then after which you can then upload that on the field where we require that you upload a map that shows the proposed marker location. So once that is done, once that is saved, you upload it in that field. So once it's uploaded, so once you download that document, you upload it on the field that is required, on the section 2, where we requested the map to be uploaded. Then after that, you attach 2 photos of the location that depicts the current appearance of the nominated site. And then once everything is complete, the fields are all accurately completed and the documents are all attached, you click on the submit button, and then the application will be submitted, and then we'll receive it. On your screen, you'll be notified that the application has been submitted and has been received. Once you submit the application, you can then come back to, if there's any additional document you wish to upload that was not uploaded, or there's any changes you want to make, you can come back to the form and edit the submission and then update it and resubmit it. Thank you. Got it.
Okay. Thank you, Greg, for that great presentation. So now I'm going to lead you all through narrating the historical and cultural heritage value of your nomination. So basically, where this happens is in first the 90-word description, where you tell the audience about the site. This is a lot of the text that will be used on your marker once it is approved, though it will go through an editing process. The second is your essay attachment, where basically you create a narrative that gives us some background information about the site, person, or place. And that also situates it within a historical context. So, what are some of the adversities? What are some of the wins? What is the context of the particular town or city that it is in? What might be the national or regional context? This is your opportunity so that the audience can understand why this particular nomination is being presented to the committee and the staff. And finally, the bibliography attachment. So that is an annotated bibliography, but throughout the essay, you will do footnotes, footnoting information that is pertinent to your argument. The annotated bibliography attachment will also be uploaded to your application. So let's get into this a little bit more about how you can develop this narrative. So first, if we think about a proposed marker or the 90-word text, a lot of you have seen this here in New Jersey and in other states. Typically, it's a physical sign or it's a plaque. It's placed at a specific location. Typically, it's close to the location or on the location. It commemorates an event, person, or significant historical site. Typically, it gives you, as we said earlier, a brief summary or historical context in around 90 words or less. What this will do is it'll educate and inform the public about the historic significance of a particular place or event, preserving its memory for future generations. So this proposed marker text that goes up to about 90 words, again, it's a concise summary of the marker subject. It specifies the historical significance, why the subject will be meaningful and educational for the public, and why that subject had a lasting impact over time. Please note that the final text will be drafted by commission staff in collaboration with the nominator. So this is a conversation between us, but we still encourage you to do your best in the 90-word proposed marker text so that we have like the key points. So be sure with the proposed marker text that the name of the site or the period of historical significance is a part of your proposed text, and one or two events of historical significance that supports the recognition of the site. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this research. So some of you will actually had research that you've done over the past 10, 20, 30 years. Some of you will be new to this, right? So this will be a site or a place or that some that your town has wanted to mark or your city has wanted to mark and it hasn't been marked. Either way, we all need to review the research that we currently have and also do new research. So one of the best things is when we start the research process, we just start it with an open mind. The information that you gather, you have to remember it may be partially true, it may be factual or not. Um, And just to have an open mind, because an open mind will lead you to new kinds of evidence and new ways to present about your topic. Gather all of the information that you have. So be sure to save the documents on another drive besides your hard drive. So it's fine with saving it on your hard drive, but make sure you do backup, right? So some inexpensive ways to do backup include getting a USB drive, so you can pick those up at your store or another online service where you can order things. There are a whole bunch of other different kind of drives and accounts that have free accessibility, but please save and have backup for all of the information as you gather it. This is a great practice whether you're applying for a marker or not. Third, check with the New Jersey and the National Registers of Historic Places to see if this site has any current nominations. We put the link over here, but we'll also put the link in the comments so that you guys have an easy way to look it up and find out about it. Now, one of the things that's just really important to do is start with doing various Google searches on your topic. Go past the first page, go to the first page, the second page, the third page. And again, remember to keep an open mind since some of the information you may find may be partially true, factual, or not. Note where information conflicts or is the same and the sources are used. So, for example, sometimes people will see information on the first page and they'll see it repeated over and over again. All that is that someone may have created something that's not true, but other people have cited it because they haven't looked at the primary or secondary sources. Number five, gather primary sources and build a data page of facts using online resources, archives, and libraries. So this is a basic who, what, when, and how. This will come in. This is very important in your research and presentation process. If you're nominating, a community organization, find the document that says when it was founded, right? Look up newspaper articles to see when the first meetings were. Start to create a list of factual information. For example, the founding of the town, when the church was built, when the school was demolished, or when the person was born, or when they died, are all basic facts that will assist you in your research. Primary sources, as Greg mentioned earlier, when we were going through the Underground Railroad guide sheet, which you should use as a guide to understand primary and secondary sources, or you can also go online and Google primary and secondary sources. There are often things such as the census, birth certificates, bank documents. All of these are helpful but please remember, even these documents can have mistakes. So, particularly with names and spelling related information. Some of our great resources here in New Jersey include the New Jersey State Library, the state archives, university libraries, and other places. Finally, gather secondary sources about your topic and related to your topic. So these include research papers, books, theses, topical website, and other sources. Sources such as oral history should be dated and transcribed. Look at figures that might have visited or associated with the site. Sometimes information is in other places. For example, the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem or a repository in another state may be useful as well. So often other states have information about New Jersey or about figures, sites, or places that folks are researching. So for this case, I'm going to just briefly go through a case study before we leave. So for example, here, the person's documenting the Underground Railroad activities in Newark. So one of the first things I did was I reviewed existing resources. So doing a Google search, in Newark, right? I pulled up three different articles. The first is Slavery in New Jersey, a shame that spanned 3 centuries. This is from the New Jersey Historical Room at the Newark Public Library. The second article is the Underground Railroad that Jacob D. King built in Newark. This is from a blog by Teresa Vega. The third one is New Jersey Stops Along the Underground Railroad. So what's important to note, as we indicated before, is that sometimes information can be factual, partially true, or not. So even though the first two articles uh, were useful and they were factual, the third article, unfortunately, was not factual. But how is the way, or what are the ways that we can determine whether information is factual or whether the evidence is useful? So what we do is we go to digital and online archival resources. So here I have an image of the Black Abolitionist Papers. So the Black Abolitionist Papers are a volume series that shows the Black abolitionists who worked against slavery, many of them on the Underground Railroad. So I can actually see letters, essays, information by and about Black abolitionists. It's an important source, and this you can sometimes find at university libraries. I think it's not. I'm not sure how many places have the information online, so you would have to check for that. We'll have it listed in the resources. Um, Again, Black newspapers. So the Colored American was one of the first African American, national African American newspapers. You can find information potentially about your site there if you're looking at the 19th century. Um, Another source are directories, right? Now, again, like I said before, the information is not always factual. So meaning that someone can be in the directory, but their name might be spelled wrong, etc. So, for example, here we have Jacob King, who was an Underground Railroad leader in Newark. His address is listed as 37 Warren. So we knew that his address is 70 Warren, but once you look at the directory, you'll actually see that 37 Warren was in the same space as 70 Warren. So these are the kind of like deep dives and going into the primary and secondary resources that you all will use to create your narrative of the evidence. So again, primary sources are generally official records, sworn affidavits based on eyewitness accounts, diaries, journals, and autobiographies, authenticated narrative accounts by eyewitnesses to the event. Um, and also secondary sources are often documented biographies and local histories. So these are some examples of primary and secondary sources. So with regard to the Underground Railroad in Newark, as indicated before, on Teresa Vega's blog, she had a copy of an article from the Weekly Anglo-African, a newspaper that not that many folks know about. And here in this article, it says the society has charge of the North Station of the Underground Railroad. What makes this a primary source is because it's in 1859. So this was actually written during the period that we're looking at. Okay. The second thing that makes this an interesting source is that it specifically speaks to the topic that we are using or that we're looking to highlight for the marker. Um, Another thing about this that's really interesting as far as this research project is that we also see like over here in the third paragraph, Jacob King is the treasurer. Of the Underground Railroad. Now, this is what we call when you have multiple sources supporting a point, right? So we know that Jacob King, his family said that they were in charge of the Underground Railroad from their house. We see here that he was a treasurer at the church. Now, for this case, we're supporting that the Plain Street Colored Church was actually a site of the Underground Railroad. But we see that the meeting was held in the schoolroom of the Plain Street Public School, which was located in the basement of the church. Our second example over here is from the Northern Star. This should actually say 1842. And so we see here that Mr. Morrell, who was a teacher in Newark, that he actually paid for the passage of an underground railroad or freedom seeker um, to go to Canada. So this newspaper is also online, the Northern Star, and we can provide links for that as well. Sometimes in this case, for example, Junius Morel, his last name is actually spelled with one R. So that's one reason why many people haven't ever found this article. So when you're doing searches, you should try to use different ways in which to look up the information. Then there's also sometimes you'll find out other secondary information. For example, William Garner, he actually lived in Newark too. And we see that he participated in the Underground Railroad. So these are some examples of the footnote or bibliography that you'll use throughout the narrative. Remember, so your footnotes, they're numbered, usually with Microsoft Word or Google Docs. They have something in the header where you can do the footnote. You create the number at the end of the sentence or where the word is, and then you put the information from the footnote for the footnote. This is an example of the bibliography. We're also going to have an example of the annotated bibliography. But you have to document all of your sources and the information you're using. So the annotated bibliography will actually state the historical fact to support the nomination in no more than 4 sentences and then cite the source. Please note that the primary and secondary sources should be footnoted in a narrative as well. So what does the annotated bibliography do that all the other things didn't do? Well, what they do is for the nominating committee is you have a fuller explanation of how this source relates to your topic, and it gives the opportunity to just show the direct connection to the sources that are being presented. This is a separate document from the essay, so you're going to upload this. Okay, so now we're going to get to a brief overview of the narrative. So remember, your first paragraph should include a few sentences about the site that is being nominated, and it actually contains much of the information in the 90-word description that will explain to the reader why this is a site of significance. So think of it as almost your traditional essay that whereas you want to state um, the point you're arguing, right? You want to explain to the reader why this is a site of significance, why is it important? Um, then after that, you have the second or even more paragraphs should include the background history. So again, you might have to like go back to the fact sheet that you've been working on, right? Your who, what, where, and when. Where is the site located? What were significant challenges and achievements? Tell us something about the larger community and the African American community. Help us to understand the conditions that make the site one of significance. So, for example, there with the Underground Railroad, we'll say we would have said the site was located in northern New Jersey or Newark. What were some of the significant challenges and achievements? Well, the significant challenge is that Newark was then a strong supporter of slavery. So, what did it mean for there to be this Underground Railroad station? And then also how some of the people who fought You know, we're formally enslaved. What does this mean? What else do we know about the African American community? What else do we know about Newark? Basically, it helps us to understand the conditions that make the site one of significance. The rest of the essay is dedicated to, again, contextualizing and presenting your primary and secondary sources in narrative form. So, one good rule is to kind of start with more simple points, and then as you go throughout your essay, you can present more complex points. If things are more complex, so for example, you need to talk about the Relief Society, which was like an underground railroad society. What you'll do then is you'll give some context about relief societies or other groups that the community might have formed. And then you'll talk about any knowledge you might have of this group. Finally, your conclusion wraps up the major points that you outlined in the essay. So we want to say thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. If you have any questions, please contact Gregory O'Day. He's the assistant project manager for the Black Heritage Trail. You can email him here. And then if you need assistance from me, Gregory will direct your email to me, and then we can set up a meeting and we can talk. But Gregory and I are both here to assist you all with presenting information and supporting it and any research or any other type of information that you may need to make your nomination successful. Finally, also, thank you. If you need more information about the New Jersey Historical Commission, you're welcome to visit our website. If you haven't been there, that's also where the full application is, as well as any other support or supplemental information. Please follow us on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube or Twitter, so you can continue to get information about the Black Heritage Trail, the African American History Program, Revolution NJ, which is our upcoming commemoration of the Declaration of Independence and the Revolutionary War, as well as other programs that seek to promote the diverse stories of New Jersey. And so with that, we look forward to receiving your applications. And on behalf of the New Jersey Historical Commission, the Department of State, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. So have a good day.